We sort of have to start wrapping it up, but I've got another question for you. What learning avenues do you take personally? Like, what do you do to stay motivated, to better yourself? What are you kind of into in that respect?
Oh my gosh, you told me to turn around logos and stuff, and here I am about to shout them out. You guys probably already know what I'm going to say, but those crazy 10x growth con.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
Like,
is that Grant Cardone?
Yep. Yes. Yep. And a lot of people don't like Grant, you don't have to, but I've gone to, I think Ben and I have gone to 3 years in a row now, and I'm telling you right now, there's people who spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to figure things out for their company, and they just tell it to you. Like, they literally, you get to be inside their head of millionaires and billionaires that are talking there on that stage. And instead of doing all your research yourself, they'll just tell you all the things. These are the things we're focusing on. This is what my company's doing. This is how we're setting it up. And I find it so much easier, for me anyways, to take things from other businesses versus real estate businesses.
Right.
Because then I just feel like I'm copycatting everything. And if I'm taking it from another business, I find a way to relate that to real estate or a real estate company.
That's really smart, yeah.
Yeah, we were talking a little bit about this before, about but the biggest thing that I'm interested in from there is just like funnel marketing. And that's another reason why I wanted to have a team. But I feel like I've been so busy with real estate that I haven't had the time to actually put that in place. And it needs to be top priority in the future. So that's
you
really
find that mainly beneficial as a business owner, or do you also find there's a personal motivation and a sales, active business benefit to it as well?
I feel like they're the same for me.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's
because that's how
answer.
my brain works. I think I only dive into things, and I can only get into things unless I'm watching like trash TV and totally want to shut my brain off.
Yeah.
But I only get into things that I'm literally wanting to work on at that time. So I'll do my business planning, like pages and pages and pages at like recap at the end of these conferences. And then my notes in my phone are ridiculous, but that's how I plan, and that's how I think of things. And I don't really want to be the same as anybody else. And I've tried to make that a thing for my brand. Right. And I think it's too hard to only look at realtors. There's so many other businesses. And that's why I mentioned like multi-level marketing. Like there's so many people in Arbonne and all these things, and they're blowing up from social media. And all of these things like have common denominators, which is like social media, advertising,
and
lists.
sales are sales. Like we're all in sales, regardless of, most professions are sales.
Every bit of work is almost sales, really.
Yeah.
So, no, I respect that. I like that a lot. Like, just listening to, I think I go with that a lot. Like, I check a lot of other businesses. That's usually why I'm reading Forbes and all these other things. And I'm reading the stories of how all these other businesses succeeded. And my intent's not necessarily to do what those guys did, whether it be like a crypto exchange or some other different medical product or whatever it may be.
But convert it to what you're working on in your brain. Like, what is the similarity, and if that's bringing you success, and if you set up that system and you dove down that rabbit hole and you put all your eggs in that basket, why did you do it? And how can I replicate that in my world?
And there's one thing to say about mimicking people, but like you said, it's also nice to do things differently. Yeah. And if you can carve out that niche by doing it differently, you have so much more strength.
I also think it's especially relevant in real estate where, and this speaks a little bit to the barriers of entry. Yeah. Some people come into it and they do a phenomenal job, but they don't necessarily have some of the background acumen that you maybe gain through other work experience. And so a lot of it, and I speak to this personally, I sort of like figured it out as I went.
Same.
And if you actually want to build a business,
all do.
I think that might be business. I think unless you come from maybe you come from a family of doing it, it might be able to skip a few of those steps. But in general, like even those guys, like I have a lot of colleagues that their families in business and they're stepping in and taking over. It's a huge
but they're doing things differently with how things are done today. So even if their family had a good foundation, I think of a realtor in New Brunswick. Maybe I'll shout her out, Jessie Yerxa. But like her family has been in the industry for a long time. But that doesn't mean what she's doing.
Her parents were on TikTok.
Totally.
Yeah, exactly. They didn't, and she kind of did this before with videos before any of that was. So I think she's taking that foundation and bringing it to the next level.
Yeah. And there's a lot of people that pine away for years and don't ever truly make it a business and a system because, they maybe don't look to outside influences to tighten things up and
and then maybe that's why it makes everybody feel so like fiercely competitive with the person down the hall, and I hate that feeling. Like it's another reason why we're not in a real estate office, because I never want any of the girls to feel like that. So I feel like it's good to be in that headspace where you can grow.
Right.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Thanks for watching that clip from the Master Keys podcast. Check out that full episode here. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and share our podcast.
When I was broke, I had rich habits. When I was broke, I had rich habits.